What happens to a person or patient that has been told by a doctor or practitioner that there is nothing they can do? Just go home, live with the pain, or just take this medication to numb your pain up. And then that leads to another symptom and another problem. And they're basically telling you that there's just nothing you can do, that maybe it's in your head, or they leave you without answers, direction, and worst, hope. What happens to you if that happened to you? In a situation, some people will use it to dig deeper and discover more. Others may give up and say, this is as good as it's going to get. Until they meet Dr. Claire Stagg, where she is a private investigator. She's a PI of the body. And I'm just always so grateful it's been almost a year since we've had her in the classroom, and it was time to get her back to share some of the stories because she wrote the book Smile. It's all connected. And I don't know if you have your own copy, but you should get your own copy. And she wrote this book. And after she wrote the book, she is just boomed. And she has been sharing and educating. And we're excited that she's taking a little time off to kind of share some of her success stories of what has happened when every doctor has said, there is nothing I can do for you. And what did Dr. Claire Stagg do? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing today in the classroom. So get your pens, your paper, your pencils, whatever you like to write with, because we're going to learn and grow together. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you. Hi, my name is Lily McDermott, and I am a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and the host of the Lily McDermott radio show Classroom. If this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace new truth and live the life of your dreams. I tell you what, when Dr. Claire Stagg came into my life, I thought I was getting like 10 doctors in one. And it was true. And so when you go see Dr. Claire Stagg, she doesn't just look at symptoms or your mouth. She looks at everything. Very unlike any doctor, any dentist that you'll ever know. She's been educated beyond her dentistry all over the world, and she is sought after all over the world. And I am excited because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm grateful that Dr. Claire Stagg, is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom.
Thank you, Lily. A great privilege to be back.
Well, it is so nice. And it's so nice to see your smile too. And I want to encourage all of you to get her book, Smile. And you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on her website, right? You can still get it on your website, right, Dr.
For
Stagg?
sure.
Okay,
At the
perfect.
office too.
And which one?
At the office also,
Oh, at the office.
for the
That's true.
locals.
Very good. Okay. So after you wrote the book, I knew you were going to go on tour and do podcasts, lots of podcasts, and share your successes, but also sharing and teaching other dentists, other doctors, and how to be that investigator, that PI, that PIMD, the private investigator, medical detective type of thing. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to this kind of dentistry, and then we'll go into some of the people that you've been able to help with um your
Soothing.
your big eyes. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So my journey has been one that I was accepted to medical school when I was going through training. They made it to where dentists were less than doctors, you know. And in France, you had to go through a competition to be able to be accepted to be medical school. And those who didn't pass got through and went through to dental. And then afterwards, you had to try again. I did get accepted to medical school. However, back in the 70s, I had no idea how I would keep patients alive if I had to have literally a massive Rolodex of drugs in my lab coat walking down the hospital halls. That wasn't the type of care that I wanted to provide. Little did I know that actually now being a dental physician or a dentist treating the whole body through the mouth, I actually connect more dots that I can then give the patients feedback to see their physicians, be it specialists or general physicians, to help them, their family doctors, to help them get well.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I don't know, when you spoke at my conference last year, did you meet Dr. Thomas Levy?
Yes, I did.
Because he also, as a cardiologist, he felt like he could not help people the way that he helps them now learning about oral health. So it's great,
Microbiome,
yes, and be able to help people that way. Vitamin C, there's so many ozone. I mean, there's so many different ways that he felt like he was a better cardiologist because met Hal Huggins,
right?
who became his mentor. So with that
Right.
in mind, you've written the book. Let's move forward because we've done that. There is a playlist for Dr. Claire Stagg in YouTube. So if you have any questions, we did probably 12 classes together. This is probably number 13 or 14. I don't even know how many we've done. But share about now that you've done the book, Smile, and you've had more people come to you.
So what I was trying to say, Lily, is that Dr. Levy, took the one of the chemical aspects or the components, the connections, which was we have chemical, mechanical, structural, emotional, spiritual, and functional. And what he did as a cardiologist, he took into consideration the chemical aspect, which obviously, remember, all things start in the mouth, the gut, the health, the cranial, the neural system, everything starts in the mouth and the head. That's what made him a better doctor, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now he always looks at all of that.
Correct.
However, when you're a specialist in one thing, many doctors don't feel comfortable in crossing
They have,
over.
right, they
Yep,
have their blinders on. Yeah,
correct. So let's talk about the people that you've seen that have thrived from coming to you, and what was their story, and how were you able to help them?
right. So one of the ones that I call her my poster child is my patient, Cecile,
Yeah.
who came to me. She was 78 years old. Now, this is the typical example that you would say of a person who's been elsewhere, and exactly what you said, we can't help you. We can't do anything for you. So she had periodontal disease. She had teeth that probably she was told that would have to be taken out or that she would lose. She was what we would call a class 3 bite, which means that when you look at a bulldog, when the lower jaw is forward. So I
Hmm.
have a picture for those of you who can see on screen. There's a picture of her before. And so she also had what we call cross bites, which means that her lower teeth were forward of her top teeth, and she had a lot of mercury. I mean, so okay, so we have structural, we have mechanical, we have functional, we have chemical with a mercury, we have airway because she couldn't breathe, she was snoring. Her sister kept telling her that she was waking her up at night. And yeah, the whole gamut of everything. And she was literally told there was nothing that could be done to help her. So I was like, okay, well, what are your goals? What is it that you want? What is it that you would like to see accomplished? And so that's where, in general, it's always important to ask their patient what their ultimate goals and desires and wishes and dreams would be, because you can't reach a goal unless you know what it is. It's like you're shooting for a bullseye. You got to make sure you know where the dartboard is, right? And
Sure.
so that's exactly what I do with every single patient. Initial examination, get to know you as a person. I know you said that we have a lot of forms. Yes, we do, because like you said, there's like 5 or 6 of me under one roof. So if you're coming in for one thing, there's different software, another thing, because each one, think of it as a funnel. Each one comes in and there are different symptoms that you feel or you perceive. However, I'm going to look at objective things that are signals to me that, wow, something is off. So where I investigate, as you say, I call it sleuthing it out, is like, what does this mean? The best analogy I can come up with is a spider web. It's all connected. You've got dots everywhere on the spider web, right? That's how everything is fluid. Well, the person's that way. If you start adjusting one thing, and then it's going to have a ripple effect. It's like a throwing a stone in a pond. It's the ripple effect on the spider web everywhere. It's quantum, right? So if you go ahead and you think about it, and you mention the physicians that are specialists, they only look at their little corner of the spider web without realizing how much of an influence it has on the rest of the person, be it psychic, emotionally, and or physically, functionally, structurally. I mean, it goes on and on. Anyhow, Cecile, we talked, and I said, "What is it that you want?" She says, "Well, I'd like to get my teeth cleaned, so we'll start with that. And then I want my mercury out, so we'll start with that. I can't remove mercury for the removal of mercury's sake per se, but we all know that it's one of those neurotoxins that the American Dental Association says it's still fine for you, and bless them, that's their point of view. But a lot of patients are being their best advocates and deciding that's not what they want. The EPA says it's not good for you, just like fluoride, by the way. So that's what we did. We went ahead and we started with the cleanings, and we saved her teeth to where her pockets weren't that bad anymore. Pockets means how much bone loss she had. And then afterwards, we removed her decay, because all of her mercury filled teeth had decay, because just like a thermometer, when the heat expands, the tooth ends up cracking most of the times. And when it contracts with cold, then that's where you have that gap between the filling and the tooth, and that's where bacteria get lodged in the food, and then we have decay. So it was worth taking all those old fillings out. I remember she was 78 years young, right? So those fillings had a chance to really move a lot. And then afterwards, it was like, okay, well, what do you want to do next? Well, COVID happened, and finances were a bit of a concern, and we put everything on hold. And then a couple of years later, she says, "You know what? It's my turn. I want to get better." She had a pronounced joint disorder. Her joints popped and cracked like crazy because of her crossbite, which means that her lower jaw being locked into place in a different position than what was healthy for her normal dentition, or in the normal way that her teeth is supposed to come together. And I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and let's do one layer at a time. Let's go ahead and fix your jaw joints. However, one of the things that you do have going on that you complained about was your airway, you snoring, etc. How about if we were to fix and the jaw joints and the airway at the same time? How can we do that? Says Cecilia. Simply, we go ahead, we make the box bigger. So where does the tongue sit? Tongue sits
The roof.
theoretically at the roof of your mouth, behind your central incisors, your front top teeth, right? She couldn't do that. She had the mouth of a small child. It was so tiny. So right behind me, I have pictures. I'm hoping they're big enough to where you
Yep,
can
we can
see.
see them.
That's her crossbite. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. This is her upper arch with all the mercury. And see how pointy and narrow it is? I mean, from far, you can actually see it's like an arrow pointing to there. Where do you put the tongue? You can't. All right, those are her mercury fillings. You could see she also had a thing called peg laterals, to where the little incisors were so much smaller, the little arrow incisors, which is why she ended up having the issues she had. But do you notice how pointy that front arch is? There's no
Yes.
way she could get a grown woman's tongue up in there. And so afterwards, if you look at the lower, it's the same thing. Now think of the upper arch as a shoebox, right? And the lower arch is the shoe. The tongue is the foot. But the tongue has to fit in the shoe that then has to fit in the shoebox. There was no way. She couldn't even put her thumb up in the roof of her mouth, right? So how is it that she was going to get an airway developed there? So that's what we did. We went ahead and we developed her airway. We developed her arches. And then slowly but surely, we did other things in between. We did the quiet night laser to where we reduced the inflammation in the back of her throat with the tissues that were so swollen. We went ahead and we did myofunctional therapy. She did myofunctional therapy with a therapist that I recommend, as well as I did the laser tie releases so that the tongue could go to the roof of her mouth. And then after the TMD therapy and the arch expansion, it's like, okay, let's finish this up. And so we did braces on her. 78, little give or take a little bit of a break. And this is now Cecile, 85 years young. Look at this. Look at how amazing. Look at her mouth. Can you remember what she looked like?
Yeah, but how did you get the little teeth to come out?
So what I did is I right now we bought them out with the orthodontics with the braces, but as I was expanding her arches, I had more room. And as I had more room, I went ahead and I did little composites to close the gaps. So I held the space. And right now she's pretty happy with it. We're gonna wait a while. Eventually we should crown them because there's so little. But she right now we're just happy. And then I have to show you how beautiful she is. This is when we started, so you could actually see the difference where the crowding and how tired she looks. And this is us when we finished. So we always celebrate with pictures. But more importantly, this is my Cecile. Like I said, my poster child. I tell her I envy you. You've got the smile of a 16-year-old.
Oh,
Isn't
beautiful.
she beautiful?
She
Yeah,
is
yeah,
beautiful. Look at that. And she's
yeah.
83 right now, right?
Yeah, 85.
Oh my gosh.
85.
When I
Now,
first
I
met you,
want
she was 83, or she started with you at 83 or something. Yeah.
78, 78.
78.
And then
Yeah.
she said, you know what her one regret is? I asked her. She says, I wish I had found you sooner. One,
Yeah.
two, everybody told me I couldn't get helped. And three, she said that I wish I had started sooner.
Yeah. I figured that would be the one. But, because now she's got a beautiful smile, she's happy with herself. I don't care what age she is, she deserves to feel beautiful and a part of society. So what
But
is
let's go back. Let's go back to health.
well,
Let's
I
go back
wanted to
to
ask
health.
about her snoring,
Right, that's my point. Her
yeah,
health now, forget the teeth because
yeah.
that's what, general
Let's
dentists
talk
do. Oh,
about
let's
that.
fix the
Yes.
teeth, right? But
Yes.
her health, she stopped snoring. She has no more sleep apnea, all right, which means that her body's not going to age faster. She's going to get replenished and relaxing sleep, okay? Her jaw joints don't pop, crizzle, pop, snap, pop, whatever. I mean, her jaw joint disorder is done. All right, it's balanced. She still wears retainers at night. They're going to help keep the jaw joint in their right position. But I mean, she can eat well. She doesn't have to worry about eating. She doesn't have to worry about all the things that her airway is great, but also now her periodontal disease, the disease that she originally came for that had the bone loss, that stopped. She's maintaining it. She knows everything that she's supposed to do, and she does it the right way. She participates. I can't get over every single time I look at that face and her smile. I just get so warm and fuzzy inside. And for those of you who cannot see this woman, she has the smile of a 16-year-old. It's
Oh.
amazing. 85 years young, looks 16. And I have to say, this is something that everybody has to understand. The general consensus is you cannot expand a palate on anyone after a certain age. Anywhere from 9 to 10 to 12, you're done. That is not true. I did mine, I was in my 50s. I did Cecile, she was in her 80s.
And
Like,
and and at this point, she's in her 80s. How I know she wishes she would have felt younger. Financially, I want to address this because I know a lot of people would go, "Gosh, this sounds great, but it sounds like she spent a lot of money on this." What would you say to someone who wants to achieve this but is concerned financially that this is going to be too much?
so it all depends on what your ultimate goals are, right? If you know that you want to accomplish X, then we'll find a way to accomplish X for you. So you and I, let's say we're in Melbourne, Florida, all right, and we want to go to Jacksonville, Florida, which is north 3 hours of here. Are we going to go on 95? Are we going to go on US 1? Are we going to go on A1A? Are we go take a major detour, go through on the turnpike and come back, whatever. But what if we decide on one road map and then we have detours, or then we have flat tires, or the car breaks down? So you could plan a game plan, all right, and have X amount to budget with. That could determine which route you want to go, one. And two, you could take it in steps. And again, that will determine which route you want to go. So Cecile at 78 did it in steps. I mean, think about it. We
Mhm.
started when she was 78. We took the brackets off. I was so excited for Christmas just before Christmas. I was praying we could get them for her Christmas. And that's what we did. So Christmas 2025. So think about it. It took her 7 years to get where she wanted to be, where she could be, and financially it got spread out. There's a different thing for everybody, a different strokes for different folks. Everybody's different. It all determines what type of results you want to accomplish.
I think that's
The
great.
other
And it's
thing,
good advice
right,
too. It's good advice as well because,
right.
to be able to do something in 7 years, she's very much alive. She's enjoying what she's done. And so, and her regret is she should have done it sooner. So let's start this
Right.
journey sooner. So who's your next? Is there anything else you want to say about Cecile?
Yes, and Cecile, that's the other thing too. Had she done this sooner, which is for all the parents out there, if you do start this sooner when they're, in the womb, or when they're babies, infants, or when they're toddlers, or when they're very young, it's not going to be as lengthy a process because you're preempting all the difficulties that could occur by preventing them. See? So the sooner you get to this is the sooner you could be finished, and also the more economical it would be.
But let me just say here, when you have a child and they are going through all this and you take them to an orthodontist or a dentist, they may create a bigger problem because they may not know what you know. What kind of advice do you give to someone who would like to start this with their children young?
Okay, so the biggest thing, there are several things, and I'm going to try and enumerate them. The biggest thing for children is inflammation. All right, a lot of children cannot breathe, which is why they end up with dental problems, because they're not being either fed properly or they're not breathing properly. The tongue does not have the right position to the roof of the mouth. So the goal is to see how we can build that shoebox, and then you make room for the tongue, and everything just falls into place in theory, right? But the biggest culprit in this whole thing, be it for Cecile, 85 years old young, or anybody else, is inflammation. Because if that child is not breathing through their nose and they breathe through their mouth, then you're going to have a massive inflammatory reflux or reflex, which would be the tonsils will get huge. Now we can't breathe through the mouth either, and everything just digresses from there. So that would be, if you see a child going to a dentist, the next thing that I would have to add to that, other than myofunctional therapy, other than nutrition and airway, the next big thing is try to make sure you have room for the teeth and avoid, quote unquote, and these are my air quotes, avoid having teeth taken out to, quote unquote, again, air tags, make room. Because that's not going to happen. You're actually making the mouth smaller, and then retroactively you're bringing back everything backwards. You're bringing everything backwards, and now you've impinged upon the space that you would have for the air to come through the passages, the pharynx, and everything back there.
Interesting. And so this is great. It's great news. And for those of you who are listening on podcasts, just know that you can always join us on just to see the pictures. Can you go back one time and show her before and then go back to her after?
Sure, let's go back. We'll zoom thing through. This is
No, just the picture.
this one.
No, her picture before and her
Oh, her
picture
picture
after.
of her face. Yes, 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 yes. Actually, I had that. This is her.
Can you zoom it?
Yes, I am. See her teeth? How tiny she is.
Mhm.
Can I bring it down a little bit,
Yeah,
maybe?
you're good.
That better? All right. See her crowding? And then this is her afterwards. This is both of us. I'm so excited for her. She's so beautiful. And this is the other thing too, is that she is gorgeous.
Hmm.
I mean, you don't get to be 85 years young without eating well and having a good lifestyle, right?
That's right.
But now she's got all the extra things that she's added to her quality of life. Breathing through her nose, she's going to get nitric oxide, which means that she's going to keep her vessels supple, which
Hmm.
is what Dr. Levi would say. She also eats properly, so she has a reduced amount of inflammation. She also knows what to do to keep her mouth clean, so she's going to have a big reduction of bacteria. So no periodontal disease, lack of, aggression for the heart and heart disease, and quality of life. I mean, think about the emotional component to where now you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you smile more. Think about the ripple effect that has on your
Yeah.
community, right?
That's right, absolutely. So,
Yes.
before we go on to the next person, I just want to quickly just ask for those of you who want to learn more about the classroom and Dr. Claire Stagg. I'll give you her information in a little bit. I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. I want you to share this video with everybody, especially if they live in Brevard County or in Orlando or South, like in the Space and Treasure Coast. It's a nice drive. The office is in a beautiful location right across the beach, and you can make a vacation of it to meet Dr. Claire Stagg. And Dr. Stagg is just an amazing person. She really truly cares.
Thank
And so I
you.
want you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe to the website, subscribe to all my social media, and share this with a friend. Include, send us some love, some emojis and some thumbs up, everything that you can, and to keep us going and get people to understand that health is something that we ourselves have been not given the optimal view at what it could be like. I want to encourage you to go to my Shop Now bag. These are Lilly approved products. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. Give up that cafe latte. Give it to the classroom. Donate your time, your talent, your treasure, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation. All is welcome. Today we have Dr. Claire Stagg in the classroom, and she is just so excited to see some of these cases that all the parts have come together with her. And from the moment I met her, she was telling me about all these things that she was doing, and there's something called an Invisalign that's like Invisalign, but it's not Invisalign, but it also opens your palate, and she was
Right.
becoming certified with it. So there's a
Yes.
lot that's going on, and one of the reasons why she's taken the time off because she has been educating herself, giving
Mhm.
lectures. So I'm sure that Cecile used that Invisalign that opened the palette as well. Did she use that?
No, no, Cecile was before all that. Cecile was
Oh,
a TMD
wow.
case, and that was something we didn't do. But the concept that I wanted I'm glad you brought it up, is called the Nuvola.
Yeah.
It's out of Italy, and it's called Nuvola OP, which is ortho postural. So Invisalign, they just started doing expansion of the arches, which is new for them. Invisalign is the clear brackets, the aligners. But what is so amazing with Nuvola OP is it actually has a myofunctional device. At least I use that part of that company to go ahead and to do everything. So now we're hitting all the birds in one stone. We're hitting the bite, we're hitting the restrictions, we're hitting the cross bites, but we're also getting all the forces through the vomer, which means that all the forces are going up through the cranium, and it's literally like getting a cranial sacral adjustment on a daily basis, which I think is pretty damn cool. Excuse me. I think it's amazing. So that's where I have been training. I trained 2 years ago for that. And we bought the equipment to be able to do that. And so we've full force. We've done many cases, and they're just simply amazing. The beautiful thing too is that they actually take less time than the normal aligners seem to be taking, simply because the freedom or the myofunctional device actually creates those masticatory forces that re-educate the muscles, re-educate the cranium, re-educates the whole 9 yards. And remember, we had talked about this in the past in many other podcasts. Think of the neck as the fulcrum. A lot of dentists don't know this, but the axis, the atlas, sorry, is the axis of rotation of your bite, not the jaw joints, not your teeth. So think of which side is the baby, which side is the sumo wrestler on. All right. My thing is I work with the mouth, the head, the neck, and then the chiropractors and everybody else works with the neck down, right? Well, what if we were to go ahead and make it in such a fashion that, again, the ripple effect just exponentially expedites everything so much faster, and treatment is synergistic as opposed to linear? That to me is amazingly fascinating, and it's really avant-garde, and I'm so thrilled to be part of this.
Okay, so let's go to the next one because we're just chugging along. It's the fastest hour on radio and the
All
classroom.
right. So this was my little one, Chloe. I got her when she still had primary teeth. Again, one of those issues to where major jaw joints issues, airway issues, bite issues. And I'm bringing these up because a lot of people think that they have to deal with this and or take teeth out, or wait until they were told, this one was told that they had to wait till they're 18 to have jaw surgery. Well, you asked me one of the questions, why? Why do they come to me? I can give them an opportunity. Yes, it may take longer, but this was done naturally with appliance therapy, as opposed to having orthognathic, which is where they break the jaws, cut the jaws, move the jaws for anywhere from 75 to $150,000. And that was waxed several years, right? So now the cost, the comparatively, yeah, this is a heck of a lot. Plus, we could take the time to do it. So this is Chloe before with a crossbite with the teeth that got in the way. This is another view. So she's just about getting to where she's getting. Again, notice how there's the V. Again, the front teeth go to the V. And the other thing too is her arches are very asymmetrical. And that's where the cranial. Now the nuvola probably could have very well been a good candidate here. This is again to show you how crooked V-like shape she is. This was to show you how we leveled her up with the brackets on. This is
Yes.
where she actually has a less pointy arch. She's all nicely developed. And then the same thing with the lower, how on the lower she's also very developed. So this is her smile. Remember what she was like before? So for everybody who's not on the podcast, who can't actually see or who don't know what we're looking at somebody who had, think of a picket fence that's all rotted out and broken down. Not that her teeth were rotten. I'm just saying that think of a picket fence and somebody, or a pack of dominoes. Think of a pack of dominoes and all the dominoes were all over the place. That's a much better thing because the kids' teeth were beautiful. They were not rotten. They were beautiful. But think of a pack of dominoes and everything was not where they should be. And all of a sudden they're all lined up like little soldiers. I mean, isn't that amazing?
It
And
is. It
no
is.
jaw joint problems. Airway issues were resolved. I mean, everything was so much better afterwards. And then, of course, she grew to where she's taller than I am. Not that
How
that's
old
hard
was
to
she?
do.
How was Chloe when she started? And
I
it's very
think
hard to see this picture,
I,
but
well, I didn't want to show pictures of her face because I would need permission from mom. So
yeah,
these teeth are
yeah.
fine. But I would say that she probably was in her early teens, so maybe around 8, 9, 10. And then we finished when she was, or maybe later, and then we finished when she was 14, 15 or less.
But you know what? The
Or
years.
graduation prom. So I'm not sure. But then again, we also stopped for certain things.
Yeah, but can you think about the emotional,
Mhm.
the self-esteem issues that I
Yeah,
work with people all the time because, you internalize that and kids don't mean to, but they will make fun
can be mean.
and
Mhm.
can be cruel. And this could have been a lifelong um, issue for her of self-esteem problems. But not only this, the correction that, it's hard to see here, but the correction that was made set her up for a much better life. So,
Correct. And I have to stress that, and this is why her mother found me, is because she had been told by several orthodontists that she would have to wait till she was 18 to have her jaws broken, to have orthodontic surgery. Now, why we did it? We didn't do surgery.
and it took about 7 years.
Maybe less than that, because we did certain things and then we waited. And plus, remember, she was in primary
She was
dentition, then she
growing.
was in mixed dentition. So that means we had baby teeth and we had a mix of adult teeth. And then, some kids don't listen when they're supposed to wear the elastics or when they're supposed to wear their appliances. Or, so things do take longer. So my carrot is that I attempt to give a much better break, so to speak, saying that if you wear elastics, then it's going to spend a lot less time and everybody wins in the long run.
Well, I tell you what, that's very touching. It's touching that, and I'm sure it's very rewarding. Now,
Oh, yeah.
who did you do the braces? Did you do
Yeah, I
Invisalign?
did.
So you do it
Yeah,
all. So
I do it
so
everything.
you did the orthodontics, you did everything there. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really awesome.
I did her, well, obviously she comes to the office, we get her teeth cleaned, we do her fillings. If need be, but in this case, I think her baby teeth came out naturally, but I would do the extractions, though I always tell them wiggle those teeth out. And then afterwards, I did her TMJ therapy, which means that I had to do appliance therapy, which means orthotics to be able to get rid of the crossbite. I had to create a ramp to where the front teeth were able to dislodge from being locked in by each other. And then once that was done, and that's where too, when you got somebody who's got the smarts to know what they're doing, that's when we can hit two birds with one stone. So you mentioned price again. All right. You can go ahead and when I was trained to go ahead and do TMJ therapy, right? And then you refer them to an orthodontist to do orthodontics, right? And then they had to finish the case orthopedically. The problem, though, is that when I addressed my entourage or my community back in 2004, 2006, 2008, and I said, hey, I am treating patients who have TMJ disorders and they need to be finished with a phase 2 of orthodontics, I was told that's too complicated. I have enough patience. I don't need to waste my time doing this. Literally. All right. It's too complicated. I don't need more work. It's too hard.
Who's your next one? Because we're almost running out of time.
Okay, so my last one is an adult patient. And so these are for people who think that they're totally a lost cause. I don't know if is that better for you to see. So this, for those of you who can't see, this is a patient who had major periodontal disease, very broken down teeth, missing a lot of teeth. And I mean, he he looked like someone that's not who he is. Does that make sense? It did him a disservice to have a mouth like this. He's a good fellow. He's got a pure heart. Yes, he's got a lot of broken down teeth, but nobody took care of him. And I think nobody had the aptitude to think step A, step B, step C, step D, step E. You know what I mean? And that's what it takes. It's like you have to work with the end in mind. And so if you go ahead and you look at
I just
this is
want to say that my heart breaks just looking at that picture because
right.
as a coach, I can only imagine how difficult it was for him to smile, how
He
difficult it was
didn't.
for him to engage with people, to be social. So I don't know what got his teeth like that from, and how old is this person?
I would say he's in his late 50s now.
Wow. And how long ago was this?
Well, we did many steps. I'll go ahead and I'll show you
Okay, go
because what
ahead.
we did. So this was before. Again, you could see the broken down teeth. The black is what we had to remove or repair. All right. And then this is the upper, another view again. Can you see okay this time? This is to
Absolutely.
show you what I had to work with. Do you
Hmm.
see that? To
Yes.
where he's not that unlevel per se, but look at the amount of um decay and or brokenness. That's not a very big dental term, but it's really a problematic case. And so what we did is we built everything up, cleaned everything up, removed the teeth that were absolutely lost, and then slowly but surely gave him back a smile. But basically, one of the beautiful things that I did do for him, if you look at this, is I actually took some teeth out. And again, this is what this gentleman did. He didn't do everything straight away. He did the crisis, then the next crisis, then the next crisis. And then it's like, okay, my friend, are you ready to look gooder? All right. Are you ready to look gooder? Are you ready to look handsomer? So he had an upper partial for years. I said, okay, how do you feel about having this removable appliance in your mouth? So I'd be really happy if I didn't have to have it. I said, well, okay, let's do a bridge. And in this particular case, we redid his front teeth. And so now he has a bridge. Oh my God, when I tell you he smiles, he's like a champion when it comes to smiling. And all he has to do now is maintain them, and they're safer because now they're protected with crowns.
As a life coach, I use a lot of intuition to work with people as well. And when I tell you, my heart just like cries for him because I can only imagine all the self-talk that he's gone through. And so, but once you get your teeth fixed and you get that fixed, because I'm sure that with all the periodontal damage, he was probably having a lot of other symptoms
He
too.
does, yeah,
So let's
yeah.
talk about that because it's not just about the physical, the smile or the looking good or whatever. What did it cause? What kind of symptoms did he have in his body that have been eliminated because of fixing his teeth?
So one of the things that we have helped him with are his jaw joints because the whole scaffolding was broken, right? He had no scaffolding. So we fixed him with it, helped with his jaw joints. We helped with his airway because everything that you can do, there's two things you could do for airway that are primo as dentists. One is vertical, which means we give some height, and one is protraction to where we can make room for the tongue, right? So there's two things. And then the third thing is periodontally, we got rid of all the bacteria that cause the heart issues as well as the inflammation in the body. Now, he has a very bad habit. He likes to dip. So unfortunately, I keep lecturing him. That's not good, but you can lead a horse to water. So he comes in every month and a half and he gets his teeth cleaned, which I have to take my hat off. Kudos to him because he does what he needs to do, even though he still partakes in his little vice. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is, but he's making his life a lot better by clearing up the periodontal damage because that
Correct.
is, I mean, Dr. Levy has said in the past that one of his not regrets, but that he wasn't able to help his mom with heart
Right,
disease, that he wasn't able to, that he's been able to help other people, but he wasn't able to help his mom because he didn't know what he didn't know. The
right,
education he received in school did not prepare him for real world and the real
right,
issues and all of
right,
that. And so
right.
I just want to, speak to any of you that may have some dental issues. Yes, physically, it may not be as attractive as a beautiful smile, but internally, what it's doing, whether it's spirit, mind, and body and symptoms, it's exponentially beyond what we understand.
Yes. Can I give you another example too about the emotional part?
Sure.
Is that, and it's in my book too, all these little quips. There was an ad, I think it was by, I can't remember if it's Colgate or Crest, it's irrelevant, but there was a woman standing behind a gentleman who was sitting. All right. So you had the 6 or 5 different pictures, and every single time the gentleman had a little leaf, a little green leaf of something between his teeth, right? So it's spinach or lettuce or whatever, but you didn't know that. But when you look at them as a loving couple, the first thing you saw was when he was smiling, they were both smiling, but the first thing when you looked at his smile was that big green piece of spinach between his teeth, right? Do you know in every single picture, the woman either had 3 fingers, no thumb, missing missing digits, whatever. every single thing that is possibly imaginable. They doctored the rest of the picture of the woman behind him, but the focus every single time was on that man's smile. The first thing people look at is your smile, a smile that makes the world go round, right? But
Yeah.
that's what the problem was, is that they couldn't see the forest for the tree because that piece of spinach was right in front of their face. And so when you think about this gentleman who had this, I mean, that is a, can be something, that guy is not worth my time or my effort or my whatever. But in effect, he's one of the sweetest, kindest men I know. He just needed to get his mouth fixed up, so to speak.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the habit that has become his friend is what created the problem that he
No,
had.
this is
This
before
is
that. This is the
dipping?
dipping is something he does now, but this is
He didn't do it before?
before dipping.
He didn't do it
I
before?
don't know, but this is before the dipping was the icing on the cake that made everything get worse.
Okay.
But you don't just get this from dipping only, is what I'm saying. There's a lot more to this than that.
Got it. Got it. Well, I'm not going to go any deeper than that, but all I'm just saying is there's a lot of people that their addiction becomes their friend
Right, right, right.
and their companion. It gives them
Exactly.
um that quick feeling
Fix.
of belonging
Right.
and to something or someone who's doing this with them too. And it's not
Right. And
real.
I'm not condoning dipping, one,
I
for
didn't think you
sure.
were.
And it's right. And two, one thing you have to understand is that these crutches that people do use, exactly as you said, it's just enough to make the camel's back break. It's just enough to make the vase overflow. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
he may
It's the
have been
drop
doing
that
this.
made the cup runneth over. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's not only because of that, but a drop is a drop is a drop. So all the other things, lack of home care or lack of knowledge of home care, or lack of the right tools or lack of education when it comes to home care, all these things add up. Those are the drops that we're missing. Maybe, diets, maybe what you need when you're growing up. Or we could go back womb to tomb again, it's all connected.
Yeah. So, how do, so if somebody is having oral health issues and they're going to the doctor and the doctor's treating their pain or the doctor's treating their inflammation, what is your advice to them when it comes to education wake-up call?
So I have to say my best thing I could say is read my book. I have to say because it's an art form. It's the your Bible, so to speak, my Magnus Opum, my friend calls it. It has everything you would ever want to know how it's connected. What I like about this book, and I bring it up simply because it has all your solutions to all the questions you may have. All right. Now, that being said, this is what you could do in the privacy of your home, from all the way if you decide you want to be pregnant, all the way to having a baby and how to grow to be a healthy adult. That is that. However, my suggestion is find and Google or research or do what you need to do to find a dentist who is more whole body oriented. They're very few and far between, all right? But there are organizations that are on my website that can help you find these doctors around the country and the organizations to whom they belong or to which they belong. And then that way you can start, making a process. Now, I had a patient, a client of yours in Canada, way behind God's back, all right, who kept reaching out to me and I tried to help her. But how do you, a mother of 4 or 5, how do you justify flying, from behind God's back in Canada to Melbourne, Florida, to go ahead and to start a process? So I try to reach out and say, okay, with what I see, these are the things I'd recommend. Try and find a doctor who'll do XYZ. These are the organizations that could possibly help you. However, I have to admit that I am really working on getting my school going so we can educate doctors on basics. I have lectured in other organizations that I belong to, but I really want my stuff to get out there so the layperson can read it too without having to read the book, though I think you should still read the book, but the layperson can understand what's going on. And then the doctors, so that they can understand what it is that they're lacking in their training. My goal is to change the way dentistry is taught in the schools, because if we change the demand, the supply will have to change.
I think that's a great advice, and I love the fact. And for those of you who would love to reach out to Dr. Claire Stagg, you said you heard her stories here in the classroom. You can reach her at 321-777-2797. That number is 321-777-2797, and all her information is below. So you can be a consultant for someone who is going through this process, and you can help them find, is what I'm hearing you say, the
Yes.
proper connection. Because I remember that situation, someone from Canada that is a follower of the classroom wanted to get your help because we get to a place where we feel it's a crisis or
Lost.
desperate,
Lost.
and we feel so discouraged. So anyone out there that is feeling discouraged right now, and that there's no hope, because that's how doctors, some doctors that have no idea what they're saying or doing will leave you with that. Like it's like there's nothing we can do. What I say is there's nothing they can do.
They can do right.
Correct.
Good
So
job.
what would you
Exactly.
say? What would you say to someone who's lost hope that there's nothing they can do? And maybe their orthodontics or their dental, their teeth don't look like the gentleman behind you, but what would you say to them?
I think you've nailed it on the head. When somebody tells you there's nothing that can be done, I think you nailed it perfectly. Lily, is there's nothing that they can do or there's nothing that they are aware of. So I think every single patient, when they're ready, are their best advocates. I always tell everybody that walks in the door, you've been around. Yes, I have. I've been everywhere. I didn't know you existed. I said, I know, but you know what? God always brings you to my door when you're ready. That's my thing. It's like when you're ready, I'm here. I've always been here. I've been here in this county for since 19. Wow, I don't know to age me 80. I got my boards in 89. So I mean, I've been here for a long time.
You don't
But
look a
it's
day over 40.
thank you. But it's a journey
And
too,
I'm
right?
so
I know
jealous of your hair. I'm so
I
jealous of your hair.
I know a lot more now than I did back then. And tomorrow I'll know more than I did today. But that's what I think everybody, single person that's out there, don't lose hope. That's what we're here for. Us doctors who bust our butts learning and helping others. That's where the ripple effect takes care. We can only get so much word out there. Share the message, share the message. That's what Lily said. Share the podcast, share the message. Go look at the other videos, share the messages, educate yourself because that's the best thing you can do. Knowledge is power. And don't give up because that's not right. All these parents, they looked for their children. They did. They found me. Said, we don't want to do surgery. What can you do? Said, well, it'll take some time. Nobody else wants to do it. I said, it'll take some time, but we did it
But
non-surgically.
how wonderful that you didn't hospitalize the person, medicalize the
Hmm.
person. So what I mean is that once you break something, once you add something, you can't undo it. And that's what I call medicalized. And so
Oh,
it's a good thing that you kept her from breaking the jawbone
yeah.
and doing all these things that you knew didn't have to be done if they had the time to learn. And who knows if that cutting and breaking is going to solve the problem, you
See,
know?
that's the thing too, and that I think is the most important thing is you have to go to the root cause. If you go to the root cause, you will alleviate so many other symptoms and issues. Whereas if you keep trying to like guacamole, you keep trying to hit the symptoms, you'll never get to the root cause. So even this patient who would have had her jaws broken all her issues would never have been resolved. She still would have had sleep apnea. She still would have had joint issues. She still would have had an issue of growth that would have continued later, which is why they wanted to wait till she was 18. But she comes from a family that's nearly 7 feet, exaggerating, tall. I mean, she still has growth in her.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
there would have still been an issue
Yeah,
later on.
when you cut somebody, I know my son grew much taller after 18. So, but anyway, I'd love to continue this conversation. Unfortunately, it's the fastest hour in the internet. So I'm just so grateful to you, Dr. Stagg, for everything that you're doing. Once again, the book is called Smile. Start with this. Start by
Mhm.
getting Dr. Claire Stagg's book, and then maybe schedule time for a consultation with Dr. Claire Stagg. 321-777-2797. Those sevens are very divine. So reach out to Dr. Stagg. She is amazing. Thank you so much for coming back and giving us an update on Cecile. She's so beautiful. You let her know that someday I'm looking forward to meeting her.
I will let her know. She's very agreeable to sharing. I have to say one thing that's very important, and I think you'll really appreciate that. Before Cecile came on board as a patient, she told me this when I was interviewing her for testimonial. She's saying that she came to the office, sat in the parking lot, and prayed about this.
Very
And
good.
then when she got the green light from God, she went ahead and she came in as a patient. So I just
I
thought I think I would share
No,
that with
no,
you.
prayer is always good. That's our first line of defense. Thank you so
Right,
much, Dr. Stagg, for coming into the classroom. It's been a while. Let's not make another year go by before we get to reconnect with one another. And please
right.
remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott and Dr. Claire Stagg wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
Ever.
Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.